Hey guys, I said that I was going to make a video describing what shadow work is because it's something that's very important. As a tarot reader, fortune teller, whatever people call it, psychic, clairvoyant, people want to ask a lot about, oh, what's love going to look like? What's finances, my career? And how I feel about that is I have no problems at helping a client figure out, where their relationship is headed, or if they're going to be in a relationship, or whatever have you, what the next job is like. I I I just think that it kind of focuses on a small detail, if you will. It's kind of like when you are looking at shadow work, when you're looking at your shadow, which I would go into, but you're kind of looking at the big picture. You're looking at the bigger picture. Yeah, a fortune teller could tell you that the relationship you're in is probably a dead end one, but I want to, through shadow work, show you how to make more fulfilling relationships. How if you have this repeating trend and cycle in your life where you're like, wow, I keep attracting people who are manipulative, we'll say, right? Let's say you attract people who are manipulative. So you go to a fortune teller and you're like, oh, how is this relationship going to go well? Well, you know what? It's probably going to end the same exact way until you look at what part of you is attracting people who are manipulating. Maybe it's definitely going to be something that's in your shadow, but maybe you're manipulative, or maybe you are too much of a giver. Maybe you don't know how to set boundaries, and that one is most likely the more common attraction of people who are narcissistic or manipulating. Is probably because you need to learn how to set up boundaries. And that's what shadow work is. Shadow work is about not shadow work is about becoming more whole within yourself, so you don't have to like try to figure out, oh, is this going to go well, and how is this going to go well. No, because when you're whole within yourself, number one, you'll be like, well, if this doesn't work out, I'm a god, I'm a creator, I create my own life, so if it doesn't work out, I'll find something else that will work out. Shadow work also will attract things that are whole to you, because when you incorporate your shadow into your conscious, then you become more whole in yourself. We talk about loving yourself, but how could you love yourself if you are not whole? If you have this part of your psyche that you bury away, that society and family and friends have told you that's not a good look, don't act like that, that's ugly, or maybe like your potential is diminished because of your shadow, because people have told you, stop being so creative, stop being such an artist, like that's not going to make you money. And so then you put that into your shadow as well. You're like, shit, I can't, let me not draw. Why focus on drawing? It's not going to make me money. And that's a lot of things are put into our shadow. We learn our shadow is mostly developed when we are children, but we add to our shadow constantly, especially when we have events that are that reinforce the false beliefs that we already have. So, once again, shadow is just this part of ourselves that we don't like looking at. We have a lot of traumatic experiences, and everyone's situation is different. However, it doesn't make anyone else's cross that they have to bear any less burdensome for them. Just because something affects you differently than it affects someone else, I bet you have something that affects you that the other person's probably like, that's nothing to me. And that's what shadow is. Shadows are completely individualized. All that we have in common about shadows is that each and every one of us have a shadow. Other than that, they completely vary. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about my shadow. This is kind of how I got into shadow work. It first started off with tarot. Well, actually, everything really started off with astrology. when I really learned about astrology and birth charts, and I realized that nothing is chance. Everything was calculated to the most detailed influence. So that's when I realized, okay, so everything happens for a reason. All right. And then I started digging into my psyche. And through tarot, I started learning about shadow work. My shadow is filled with a lot of horrible things that I don't want to look at. So our shadow is composed of a lot of things that are like, I'll deal with that later. As children, especially, we go through a lot of things that we can't address right then and there. We can't address them because if we don't like how something is going with our parents, for example, if we don't like something, I mean, you're a child. What are you going to do? Like, you can't move out. What are you, like 5 years old? You're going to get an apartment? Like, you can't do that. So that's why our shadow was developed mostly at this time, because we just have to conform. And these are things that we're like, okay, our soul is like, we'll deal with that later. But then eventually we never want to deal with it because it becomes too ugly to look at. It becomes something that in our nightmares, like there's like these shadowy figures. There's this demon. It's something usually really big, and we're running away from it because we don't want to look at it. It's scary. It looks scary. And then you realize when you actually look at this thing, you realize that it just wants a hug. It just wants a hug. It wants you to say that you love it. Say that you love it. And that's where it goes back to self-love. Shadow work and self-love, I feel are two things that are they go hand in hand. I don't think you could do self-love without doing shadow work, because shadow work, I'm gonna see a little example. Like, all right, it's kind of like this pie, right? If you're only given half of a pie, can you enjoy the whole pie, right? So that's kind of like what it is, just for lack of a better example right now. But what you're not aware of, you cannot possibly feel any type of way, much less love for, because you're not aware of it. It doesn't exist to you in your mind. So you don't love it. Especially when you are repressing something, you definitely don't love that. Because if you loved it, then it won't have to be repressed. Now, feelings like jealousy, anger, these are things that could go into our shadow, that we'll be like, well, how do we love that part of ourselves? Easily. When you admit to it, when you say, okay, you're there, I see you, it's going to go away on its own. Shadow work isn't even really something that you really have to work on. The only work about shadow work is just looking at it. Just looking at it and saying, yep, okay, you exist. Okay. Real life example of that, I had a lot of issues with jealousy in my relationships. And I was the one who was jealous. And when I really did the work, and I realized that jealousy came from, all right, having an emotionally unavailable parent who was my only parent, she was emotionally unavailable. And so whatever emotions I did get, I didn't want her to share any of that, because it was like, shoot, that should all be for me, because you're already barely here. So that's when in our relationships are just kind of a reflection of our childhood and our relationship with our parents. So that's when but when I finally just was honest with myself. Shadow work's gonna take a lot of honesty, and you have to be honest with yourself, and you're gonna have to say, all right, you know what, I'm a jealous person. I'm jealous, but it's not who you are. It's just a trait that you have right now, and nothing's gonna go away if you don't look at it, if you don't want to say that it's there. The shadow, things come out of our shadow just to like nag us and say, hey, yeah, we're here, so that it wants to get your attention because it wants to be loved. So, all right, so how did I overcome jealousy, right? I told you all you have to do is look at it. It's not much else you got to do. But okay, you have to look at it, but you also have to you're going to have to give it love. You're going to have to console yourself. You're going to have to soothe that part of yourself, to tell that part of yourself, you know what? I understand where that feeling comes from, but you don't have to feel like that again. You don't have to feel like that anymore. You don't have to look for emotional availability from other people. How about this? Why don't I nurture you? And when I say that, I'm talking about, why don't I myself nurture the part of myself that feels deprived of emotions, that feels like is not getting attention. Be for yourself what you feel like you're not getting from others. If you don't feel like you're getting the attention that you want, give yourself the attention. Go out by yourself. Do something by yourself. Sit in your thoughts. A lot of people don't even like to meditate because we don't even like to be in our thoughts. We don't want to see what nasty thoughts come out into our head. And you know what? The more we judge things as, oh, that's an ugly thought, that's nasty, that's bad, that's negative, people will look at me funny. And you know what? When you actually do this, though, when you just put it into your awareness, you don't have to do anything else. I promise you, because it's something I've been doing for a while. So you don't have to do anything else, but just admit that it's there. Admit that it's there, and it damn near well goes away on its own. But it doesn't go away. It becomes incorporated into who you are. And now, so when you take care of that one little shadow aspect, now you're all that more whole. So let's say before you dealt with that jealousy shadow, you loved yourself 45% because that's all the part of yourself that you knew. The other 55% is in shadow, right? So, when you overcome a shadow aspect to yourself, then let's say, all right, so that shadow took up 5% of your whole personality that you hid within yourself, right? Now you love yourself 50%. It's progress, because we have a lot of things in our shadow. We're going to have to tackle a lot of things. And guess what? You don't have to do it all at once. You could do it at order of importance. You could do it at what's affecting you now. You could do it with a shadow that you were made aware of yesterday. You could dig back to shadows from childhood, which is very hard. That's something that's very hard to look at, because that involves a lot of inner child work. It involves a lot of giving yourself compassion. So I hope you understand what shadow work is now. And I'm going to talk a little bit about benefits of shadow work, because this is something that I do as a tarot reader. This is my niche. This is what I want to help people do. I want everyone in the world to love themselves to the best of their ability. I want them to see the parts of themselves that they're so scared of and realize that they're not ugly at all, that they are beautiful. So benefits of doing our shadow work, it increases our ability to be creative. You see, with our shadow, with so many things of ourselves in shadow, it's hard for us to reach our fullest potential. It's hard for us to reach our fullest potential, because how could we? I mean, we're not even whole. So we're not pulling the arrow as far back as it could go. Basically, it's a way to say it, I suppose. You're not reaching your full potential. So the more of the shadow stuff that you incorporate and that you learn and that you know of yourself, you're going to be able to create things more. You're going to be able to better express yourself. You're going to be able to find your passion and follow it. Go for that passion. No matter what anyone says. No one says, oh, that's not going to make money. Guess what? That's all shadow stuff too. That's their own shadow. That's when they're projecting their shadow onto you. But when you understand shadows, when you could recognize your own shadow, that's and then you've given your shadow so much compassion, and that it makes it much easier for you to love others, because as the saying goes, you can only love yourself as much as you love, or you can only love others as much as you love yourself. So That's another benefit, being able to love someone the way you want to be loved. Because when you treat someone the way you want to be treated, you're going to attract someone who feels the same way. You're going to attract someone who's just as whole as you are. We only attract what we are. So if you're not in a relationship that you are happy with, then it's time to look at what inside of me is attracting this. So that is my goal as shadow worker, tarot reader, is I don't really just want to predict what I don't really just want to predict your future, predict, oh, you're gonna like this job. I don't want to do that. That's I don't mind doing it. I will do it because but what I'm going to persuade you to do is have the bravery to be able to look at your shadow, because I promise you so many more things come into fruition. Instead of worrying about, am I going to like it at this job, you get to say, because you know your shadow, because you know yourself that well, you're going to be able to say, I'm going to make the best career for myself. I'm going to make a career that I absolutely love doing, and I'm not going to have to work a day in my life because I love it that much, and I'm going to be prosperous. And when I'm talking about prosperity, I'm talking about emotionally, spiritually, and physically, as well as financially, of course. But all those things come. But and as far as relationships go, oh, is this guy the one? Are you the one? Are you whole in yourself? Because you're gonna attract what you are. So that's the importance of shadow work. I don't get as much joy from telling people about regular short-term things and predicting futures and whatnot. I get more joy from being able to help people create a future that they actually want. So that's what shadow work is. I was hoping it would be a little shorter, but it's something I'm very passionate about. It's something that means a lot to me, because I incarnated on this planet for that reason, is not only to go into my own shadow, but to help everyone else with theirs. A lot of the times it's like, why is this weight that I have to bear so heavy? When do I get the good part of my life? Like, when is that shit coming? Pardon my French. But that's how it felt. It felt like everything is happening to me. And that's what, and getting involved with your shadow work and being adamant in it, you go from, why does things happen to me, to what can I create? Because we're all creators of our lives, whether you're aware of it or not. If you're not aware of it, then you're probably going to be creating a pretty shitty life. If you're aware of it, you're probably going to be actively working towards making your life even better. So, that's my video on shadow work. I hope I touched on everything. I hope you kind of understand what shadow work is a little bit better now. Please follow me on my blog, infinitevibrations.wordpress.com. Follow me on Instagram, infinite_vibrations. Follow me on my other Instagram, which is my tarot related one. And that is Shae_Ashe. That's SHAE_ASE. Like and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. I have a lot of fun things. I keep it pretty diverse. I'm a rising sun Gemini, so my attention kind of goes a lot of different places. So I have a lot of things on my channel. I promise you, I'm going to be organized. I'm going to put my sun Virgo to use very soon, and I'm going to do like playlists or whatever, grouping the dream analysis, my client readings, and grouping what else? Twisted Tea, which is my celebrity gossip, y'all, because you know what, I have a ratchet side, and that's probably my Gemini as well. So let's see. As far as what I'm doing, I write a lot. I write articles, and I do promote them on my pages and such. I like to write within my niche of shadow work. All my articles that I write for magazines, online publishing, whatnot, is completely about self-love, shadow work, that That's, as I said, that's what I was put on this earth to do. It's what gives me the most joy. So, um, you know, it's like, get me when the stock is low, because I'm gonna be everywhere. You're gonna see me everywhere. And thanks for listening to me. Kind of rambles, what I love to do. So I'll see you later. Thank you.